Today I'm in the studio. I want to do some deep stretching, but before I do that, I need to give myself a ballet bar because it's really important to be warmed up before you start doing stretches, especially when you're doing things like splits and straddles. So naturally, I have to just spin around and have a little bit of fun in the studio before I really get into it. But then I'm going to go into my calf stretches, and I'll also do a little bit of a thigh stretch, just pulling the heel towards the hips. And then here I'm doing cloches, and cloches are good for like hip mobility and just warming everything up. So I just swing my leg to the front and then I swing it to the side. So very simple plie combination. I do 2 demi plies and 1 grand plie, and I'm keeping my posture really nice and tall the entire time. So my tailbone drops down towards the floor in the plie and the crown of my head goes up towards the ceiling. I do a big flat back forward, squeezing the inner thigh so the hips don't push back, and then I roll up through the spine 1 vertebra at a time. I plie and pop the heels, and then I try to stretch up, keeping those heels nice and lifted to balance. And then in second position, here I'm doing 3 grand plies, which is kind of switching it up from the traditional ballet combination, plie combination. The second time I'm reversing the port de bras, so I'm going 5th on O through first down to 5th on ba. And then the final time, make sure that you keep your balance by squeezing your glutes and engaging your core, or else you'll hop back like me. So then I'm going to cambrai side into the bar, and then I go into 4th position, 2 demi plies and 1 grand plie. My weight is super centered between 2 feet here as I drop the tailbone down towards the floor and then press the heels into the ground as soon as possible. I do a big flat back cambrai forward, rolling up through the spine 1 more time, really massaging that spine, and then I lift my chest up towards the ceiling as I bend back. My arm rounds to the side and I bring the toes in to close me in 5th position. So this is the last time we do 2 demi plies and 1 grand plie, pressing the knees back. So I go through demi plie into grand, back to demi plie, and then I'm going to do a big circular port de bras, which is a little bit more advanced than I give like absolute beginner students, but basically you go front, side, back, and all the way around, and then you'll reverse it. You have to really squeeze the inner thighs together and engage the core so that your lower body is not going to move at all. You never want your hips to pitch forward or back. You only want the upper body to move around the legs. So last time I'll do a plie and pop the heels 1 more time, keeping them really high as I stretch up through my legs, and then I balance by engaging my glutes, my inner thighs, my core, chest up and lifted, and then I go to the second side. Is this lighting okay? Okay, ballet is actually so hard. Like all I did was plies and I'm already sweating. I'm working like my inner thighs, my calves, my thighs, my glutes, my hips, my abdominals, my core is working all the time. Pressing my shoulders blades down and back, working that posture. It's the best workout. Next we do tendus. Tendus are like super simple. I'm just gonna do like 4 en croix in first position, and then 4 en croix in 5th position, then straight to the second side. I'll repeat with dégagés, which is a tendu just lifted slightly off the ground. Not gonna do anything crazy today. As I just said, I'm doing 4 tendus en croix. En croix means like a cross position, so that means you do everything front, then side, then back, then side, and it creates a sort of cross position. So 4 tendus means 4 to the front, closing in first position, then 4 side, then 4 back. And I actually switched it up here and did 4 with the inside leg, which can be a little bit challenging for absolute beginners. This is more like beginner intermediate, I'd say. So then I reverse the whole combination. So I'm doing 4 to the back, 4 to the side, 4 to the front, and 4 with the inside leg. The weight shift, switching to the inside leg, definitely adds an extra challenge, but even just doing the traditional 4 en croix all with the same leg is a really good workout. I'm pulling up through the hips, especially as I close into 5th position. I have to lift up and out of my hips by engaging the core, squeezing the glutes, and that's how I'm going to create space for my leg to be able to close really super stretched. I'm constantly thinking about engaging all of the muscles around my kneecap, pulling them up towards my core, and that's going to help me keep my legs stretched as well. Remember that tendus stay connected to ground the entire time. You're trying to close into the tightest 5th position that you can, and you want to keep that upper body super relaxed as you're doing these. It's always nice to finish a combination with a cambrai, so I'm doing a big cambrai into the bar and then forward, and then I'm going into the bar again, making sure to keep my chest square towards the front of the room, and then lifting my chest up towards the ceiling as I go back for that supported cambrai that we just did in that first combination. Now this time I'm doing a plie to susu up, keeping my legs super squeezing together, so two legs become one. So my feet are kissing, my legs are kissing, and then I balance.
Tendus are such a workout. They're like amazing for toning your inner thighs. And also like staying up in your hip, you have to pull up and out of your hips in order to close with a straight leg every time. So it's an amazing glute workout. I think that just like understanding the technique and having somebody who can really show you how it's supposed to be done. I feel like there's kind of a lack in training for adult dancers, and I really want to change that. I've just changed into my final bar look. I'm wearing this little wrap by Block, my leotard, which has my microphone clipped it. This is by Daughter Lessons. And then I have just these simple little black booty shorts on. I'm wearing my meshies tights. My leg warmers and my ballet shoes are by Block. I'm wearing my pink ballet shoes today. I also have them in nude. I recommend this style to all of my students. I'm going to finish bar with some rondejambs, fondus, some relevés, grand battements, maybe throw something else in there, and then I'm just gonna get into deep stretching.
This rondejambe combination I do give to my absolute beginner students. So I'm starting in my best posture, making sure I'm going through my checklist, squeezing everything together, and then I go really slow just to the front, the side, the back, to first, and then repeat, and then I go a little bit quicker, so I hit each of those positions even as I go quicker. That's why we start going slow first. I added in a double rondejambe because I was feeling saucy, but do not do that as an absolute beginner. So we go to the back, rond to the side, rotating the heel to the front, closing into first, and then we go a little bit quicker. 1 and 2, sliding through first every single time. 3, and then I did double because I'm feeling saucy today. Close into plie, and then we do a cambrai up and into the bar and all the way down. My hips stay super still here because I'm squeezing my inner thighs, I'm squeezing my glutes, and I'm engaging my core, keeping everything square to the front of the room the entire time. So with the inside leg, I tendu back and I go into a deep lunge, keeping the tailbone down as I go down there. And now I'm gonna rotate into a parallel position and then back out, and then I cambrai to the side, and then I cambrai back, and then I cambrai to the other side. The entire time I'm keeping my chest super square. Then I lift my leg up and I keep my crown of my head growing up towards the ceiling as I rise to releve. This is a little bit more advanced too. And then I try to find my balance there. It's super tricky. You really have to keep your rotators engaged for that turnout to be able to lock yourself into that position. And then I close to susu and I bounce in a passe, détourné, and you're ready for the second side. Here I'm doing fondus, which is an amazing calf burning exercise. I'm doing them on releve. Feel free to do these on flat. So I'm doing 3 fondus to the front to passe, and then 3 fondus to the back, and then up to passe again, lifting up and over the knee with the toe every single time to engage that hamstring. Then I go front and side and back and side. And then I do this serre thing, which is a super quick foot combination. I finish with a balance and attitude, and I allonge.
Fondus are ankle strength, calf strength, inner thighs, hamstrings, glutes, core. It works like entire lower body. They are so difficult, but really good for you.
It's always a good idea to do a bar stretch, front, side, and back. I didn't really record this entire combination because the camera started going in and out of focus a lot and it just didn't look great. But basically, like, bend forward and back in each position. Really make sure that you keep your hips and shoulders square towards your foot when your leg is in front, and then hips and shoulders square towards the front of the room with your leg to the side. And same with to the back. Really make sure that that foot is crossed behind your tailbone there. So you can do a cambrai forward and back there, and it's an amazing back strengthening exercise. I will say that the arabesque bar
There's
stretch
something
is more
about
complicated.
giving myself class too that I find so much more difficult than just taking like an open ballet class somewhere with other people. Like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Partially because I'm doing this bar with no music. We usually dance to classical music. Combinations are like choreographed to be on the count, and that really helps you get through the gruesome workout. And I'm dancing in silence today, and I think that's making it way harder. I also haven't given myself a bar in a long time. I've been busy with like teaching and just other things in life. So this is quite the welcome back.
Sometimes when I'm really trying to give myself a quick bar, I'll combine combinations. So like here I did 3 grand pas and then I incorporated a développé in there. Développés usually go slow with like an adagio, but here I'm doing them more powerfully with a sort of grand allegro grand pas combination. So I just do 3 grand pas and then 1 développé en croix. So again, front side, back side. Then with the inside leg, I do some cloches and I go to the other side.
Okay, so we did our ballet bar, just like the absolute basics. It's really important before you start doing deep stretches like this that you give yourself a proper warm-up. So you can follow along with that ballet bar or you can do something similar, but make sure you get in those pliés, tendus, rond de jambes, do a little fondue. Développés, you should be doing an adage, but I didn't do it, and do your grand pas. Give yourself a little bar stretch and then come to center. I actually want to start by just putting one leg out to the side. I have to think about what I want to do here, but yeah, we're just going to put one leg out to the side. Make sure that you're sitting on 2 tailbones, or you have 1 tailbone, but 2 sit bones. Make sure that you're even on both of them. If one hip is hiking up, you might need to move your leg forward. But yeah, we're just going to sit like this. If you have tight hamstrings, sometimes I feel this way. You might even feel a stretch just sitting up like this, like through the hamstring area here. But we're gonna try to sit up really nice and tall so the lower back is super stretched too. And we're gonna lift up. And let's just bend to the side. You can paint a rainbow too, so you can go up and paint a big semicircle over. And I'm gonna flip too. So my chest is like on the diagonal here. Coming up. I'm gonna do the second side. And I'm able to go a little bit quicker because I'm warm right now. My muscles feel good and they're like pliable and I can like really stretch them and actually get a stretch rather than just feeling like terrible. So I'm bending up and over, make sure my 2 sit bones are evenly on the ground. And I'm trying to have my chest like square to the front of the room, my chest and shoulders square to the front of the room. You can look down or up at your hand, and now I'm gonna angle my chest down on a diagonal, so it's kind of like along the floor. And I feel a really nice stretch through the side of my torso. And I'm coming up. Okay. Now I'm gonna put 2 legs out in front of me. I'm gonna go like kind of on an angle here. So I'm not forcing anything yet, but I'm sitting here on 2 sit bones. I'll stop moaning now. Okay, so I have 2 sit bones evenly on the floor. I'm sitting up through my spine, so my lower back is flat. It's not like, doesn't have a slight bend in it. So if you have a mirror, use a mirror as your tool and make sure that you're, like I have a mirror over there, making sure that I'm lifted up. And now I'm gonna pull these kneecaps up, so I'm engaging all of the muscles around my knees, really pulling them up so they're nice and straight and pointing my feet. And I'm gonna reach forward, keeping my lower back super flat while I'm doing this. And this is somewhere that we can just stay for a long time. So yeah, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm not doing anything crazy. And I'm just allowing the hamstrings to really release and open up there. I realize I'm like very much in the sun, which is a big vibe for me because it's really keeping me warm, but I hope that you guys can see me. So, okay, you can take your hands behind you, put them behind your hips, and you can scoot your hips forward a little bit after you've just sat here for a while because your hips will have opened up a little bit. So you can scooch them forward. and just try to go again. And we're just sitting here. And then we can bend to the side again. And on the diagonal. Woo, really feel that stretch. Feels so good, especially like through this leg's hamstring. Feels amazing. Keeping my feet pointed and all of the legs in my all of the muscles in my legs are engaged. Sweeping to the other side. And I'm gonna go down on the diagonal again. And coming up. And now I'm going through the center. I'm very keen to do this because I used to have my splits, like I didn't have to warm up or anything, like it was just in my body. I would come into class and that would be the first thing that I did. I used to stretch daily, like dancers do that. And so I just stopped that when I retired. I was just burnt out and I didn't want to do it anymore. I just like associated it with negative things. So I stopped, and then that was probably for about a year, and I lost a lot of my flexibility. And I think that now I'm starting to get a little bit older, and I need to be conscious of how I'm treating my body and stretch the right way. That's like key. So, all right, so now I'm just bringing my legs in slowly, and I'm just gonna like, release out of that one. Okay, I'm gonna do a little hip stretch now. So I'm stacking one heel on top of the knee, and I'm gonna feel 2 sit bones on the ground, and I'm gonna let this leg just like drape over the other one. So I have 2 shins stacked on top of each other, 2 flexed feet to protect my knees. I have 2 sit bones on the ground. My lower back is straight in line with the rest of my spine. Crown of my head's growing towards the ceiling. And I'm just gonna bend forward.
If you find that you can't lay your shins flat on top of one another like mine, that's okay, but sit with 2 sit bones really evenly on the ground and just don't bend forward yet. Just allow the hips to open up here.
That feels so good. And now I'm gonna switch legs. So I stack the other heel on top of the knee, 2 sit bones on the ground, let this shin just drape over the other one. So I have 2 shins right on top of each other, 2 flexed feet to protect the knees. Flat back, bending forward from the hips. Try to really reach the chest out beyond the shins if you can. And I'm gonna bend over.
This is a pretty deep hip stretch, so if it feels really intense, just try to breathe through it. Try not to tense any muscles and hold for about 20 seconds.
Now I wanna go into the real splits. So I'm kneeling. I'm gonna go into this slowly too, because I feel like the hamstring on this leg in particular is a little bit sore, and I don't want to like push it at all. And I'm gonna slide down slowly. And only go as far as like is really painful. If you need to hold yourself up here, you can. You'll get to a certain point in your splits where you're like holding yourself up all the way. If you have like 1 inch to go like this, just try. Like hold it here for like a little bit so you can get loose, and then really the trick to getting your split from here is you just gotta let go, and you just gotta breathe through that little uncomfortable stretch feeling. I don't wanna say painful because nothing should ever be painful.
Just to explain what I'm doing here, I'm just squaring my shoulders and opening the chest by grabbing my leg behind me and then like twisting to the side and then lifting my chest up towards the ceiling. And then I just square my hips again to really make sure I'm getting a good stretch.
So I'm making sure that I have 2 hips square in front of me. My shoulders are square. The more square I keep my hips, I'll feel like a deeper stretch through the hamstring on the leg that's in front, and that's really good. And we can bend forward. And we're just gonna stay here. I just want us to stay here and deepen into the stretch and just make it feel good. It's important, it's really important to stretch every single day. You know, like 5 minutes is just amazing just to make your body feel nice. Get some like mobility, especially if you have like a 9 to 5, you're sitting all day. But if you really want to improve your flexibility, you really should be doing more than 5 minutes a day. And you need to be doing a proper warm-up so that you can safely stretch. And a lot of times people stretch when they're cold, and it's actually, it doesn't do anything to help them, it actually just hurts them. So we're going down on the second side. I'm in this kneeling position. I have 2 hips square to the front of me. and I'm sliding down. So if you have to hold it here, you can hold it here, or we can slowly lower into it a little bit more. Keep this knee really stretched. Make sure these hips stay square to the front of the room. Whew. And we're not gonna fight, we're not gonna like force anything. So yeah, people will open their hips this way, and that's like not really, that's like stretching underneath your hamstring, but this is like just not giving you a proper split stretch. So to get the full benefits, you really have to keep your hips square to the front, and then you're gonna start feeling out on this outside here.
You might feel it in your hip flexor too, on that leg that's extended to the back as you square your hips.
And you can bend to the side. And to the other side. Really keep your belly button in towards your spine so your core is engaged here. It's dynamic stretching. Flat back to reach, bend forward from the hips, keeping 2 legs stretched the whole time. Try to keep those hips square even when you're in this stretch, even when you're bent forward like that. And we're gonna slowly come out of it. That's amazing, isn't it? Let's do a little bit of a back stretch. So we're actually gonna lay on our tummy now. I'm laying on my tummy. My knees are totally straight, my glutes are engaged. And I'm gonna press up through the torso. I'm keeping my feet pointed because get a little bit more of a workout that way. You might as well like get the most out of every single thing you do. It's kind of like work smarter, not harder. It's a term that I heard like growing up in ballet class. And the idea is like just do everything you can while you're doing the exercise so you don't have to do it again, because doing it a second time is working harder. So just do it the first time and do it well.
So I'm just warming up my back again by doing these back ups. I'm keeping my elbows super wide, and I lift the crown of my head up towards the ceiling, and then I just go into an upward dog. And now I'm gonna bend one leg up, hinging at the knee, and touch the toe towards the crown of the head and lift the chest up towards the ceiling, and then do it with the second leg. So I bend the leg in and I try to touch the toe towards the crown of the head, lifting the chest up towards the ceiling, and then I'll come down, and then I'm gonna try to repeat it with both legs. So go slow and reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, press the belly button in towards the spine, and lift the chest up, and then bend the head back and touch the toes towards the crown of the head by trying to just like engage the hamstrings. And you want to try to stay here for like 20 to 30 seconds if you can. And it's really good for strengthening and stretching. So it's a super dynamic exercise that we're doing here. So take your time coming out of this. Go really slow and just slowly release the legs down and the torso down. And we're gonna go into a child's pose. So even as I go into child's pose, I'm really taking my time to get there. And I'm extending the tailbone back and then the crown of the head and the spine away from the hips. So I'm trying to stretch in 2 different directions here, making space through every vertebrae.
And we're gonna bend to one side. So reaching the hands on the diagonal, and I can lean that hip to the opposite diagonal. So I'm creating a deep stretch through the side of my torso, through my obliques. Walk my hands to the other side, do the same thing. So stack the hands, arms are in a diagonal, lean into the opposite hip, and feel a deep stretch through the obliques there. And coming up through center, and we'll roll up through the spine. That felt so good. Okay, so I did a deep back basket stretch. We did both sides of our splits, and we did our center split. We also did like a deeper hip stretch. The one that I show you to do is slightly more advanced. If you need something easier, you should just stick to a butterfly for now, or you can do the figure 4. Or like this, and you hug your leg in towards your chest, and you have your nice, tall, long spine with your crown of your head growing up towards the ceiling. And twist away, keeping your chest nice and open. But yeah, the one that I did was a little bit more advanced earlier, which is what I wanted. I wanted to do like deeper stretches today. So yay, thank you for following along with me. This has been fun.